Welcome back, pro wrestling fans. Welcome back, IWC. It's me. It's me. It's the G.O.C. coming to you live to tape, 25 feet below the surface of the earth. Wait a minute. Let me see if I can try to explain this. I'm live right now on October 27th, 2023. But I am taping this at the same time. Fuck it, you guys get the idea. Welcome back to Chaos Corner for this date, today in pro wrestling history, October 27th. Now, if you missed yesterday's show for this date in history, October 26th, it was, as the kids say in 2023, a banger, full of some unbelievable history and nostalgia. So I just want to thank you for being here today. October 27th, we have another unbelievable show, historical, priceless, classic memories from the world of professional wrestling, aka sports entertainment, if you will. Now, fans, I want you to like, subscribe, leave a comment here on Guardian of Chaos, the YouTube channel. We're coming up on just about 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours, and then we will be going live. Follow me on all social media platforms in real time over at X, at Big Daddy G.O.C. And the G.O.C. stands for the Guardian of Chaos. On Instagram, it's the Guardian of Chaos. And then, of course, there's my two accounts on Facebook, J Brony and Prodigio Fidelis El Guardian, and soon to be taking over on Rumble at Guardian of Chaos. Don't you dare miss it. Come on back to Guardian of Chaos on the YouTube channel. All right, fans, since we're back off of all the other social media platforms, I can't thank you enough for being here from the bottom of my heart. We're heading into the weekend, the holiday weekend, if you will, Halloween for the kids. Be safe, be careful, be vigilant, and be aware with your children. Let's pray for humanity and those suffering around the world and all the insanity here in 2023. From all the different countries and nations and kingdoms to right here at home, the United States of America. Shout out to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, because without him, nothing is possible. And with him, all things are possible. Remember what I say on just about every show. If he is for us, who could possibly be against us? No fear, just faith. Get into that book every day, fans. Prayers, people, a lot of doubters, a lot of haters, a lot of people turning out there. They do work and they do help. You have to have action with those prayers. Let's remember that. Because Jesus Christ is coming back soon. Don't be caught dead without him. Let's get on to some much needed distraction here today in this world of 2023. And let's get right down to brass tacks. October 27th, this day in pro wrestling history, or this date, whatever you want to say. Jump into the time machine with me. Here we go. October 27th, 1950. Rito Romero wins the NWA Texas Heavyweight title, his third reign, by ending the second reign of Vern Gagne in Houston, Texas. October 27th, 1960. Mike DiBiase defeats Pancho Lopez, a.k.a. Lorenzo Parante, to win the Amarillo version of the NWA North American Heavyweight title in Amarillo, Texas. Fast forward to October 27th, 1961. Sputnik Monroe, that's right, Sputnik Monroe, defeats Dory Dixon to win the NWA Texas Heavyweight title in Houston, Texas. October 27th, 1964. Classy Freddie Blassie, known then just as Fred Blassie, and Mr. Moto defeat the Destroyer and Hard Boiled Haggerty for the WWA Tag Team titles in Long Beach, California. October 27th, 1965. Danny McShane defeats Dick Dunn for the NWA Gulf Coast Heavyweight title in Mobile, Alabama, ending Dunn's fourth reign. October 27th, 1967. The Hangman, no, not Adam Page, it's 1967, wins the NWA Central States Heavyweight title from Sonny Myers in St. Joseph, Missouri, ending Myers' 13th reign with that title. How about that? October 27th, 1966, Tough Tony Bourne and Mr. Fuji defeat Rene Goulet and Shag Thomas for the NWA Pacific Northwest Tag Team titles. Back into the time machine here at Chaos Corner. October 27th, 1971, the late great Ed Francis defeats Moondog Mayne to win the NWA Hawaii Heavyweight title in Honolulu, Hawaii. Pehaoi melihini kane, pupule wiki wiki, aloha and mahalo to all my friends over on the islands. Let's stay in October 27th, 1971. Sweet Daddy Siki defeats Sam Steamboat for the Hawaii version of the NWA North American Heavyweight title. In the 50th state over there, especially the territories, Hawaii, Polynesian Pro Wrestling, Polynesian Championship Wrestling was unbelievable back in the 60s and 70s, even into the early 80s. What an honor to be over there if you were a professional wrestler. October 27th, 1973. I believe I was a mere 10 years old at that time. Dutch Savage and Superfly Jimmy Snuka defeat Bull Ramos and Ripper Collins to win the NWA Pacific Northwest Tag Team titles. Let's stay in 1973, October 27th. Robert Fuller and Brad Armstrong defeat Stan Vachon and Bobby Duncan for the NWA Georgia Tag Team titles. Back into the time machine, fans. October 27th, 1977. Dr. X and Cyclone Negro defeat Pork Chop Cash and Ray Candy for the tri-state version of the NWA Georgia Tag Team titles. Talk about legends in that match, especially Pork Chop Cash and Ray Candy. Doesn't get much better than that as far as history in pro wrestling. October 27th, 1978. Butcher Brannigan and my old buddy, the late great Ox Baker, defeats Larry O'Day and Mario Milano to win the NWA Austria and Asian Tag Team titles in Sydney, Australia, down under. Can we put a little shrimp on the Barbie, mate? Let's stay in October 27th, 1978. TNT defeats El Nazi for the Mexican National Heavyweight title in Mexico City, Mexico. Let's stay once again in 1978, October 27th. Ole Anderson and Stan Hansen team up to defeat Tommy Rich and Mr. Wrestling 2 for the NWA Georgia Tag Team titles in Atlanta, GA. Wait. You know, whenever I hear Atlanta, GA, I think about one of the greatest tag teams of all time and one of my personal favorites, especially when I was able to briefly travel with Freebird Michael Hayes in the late 80s. Hit it! Bad Street, Atlanta, GA. Bad Street in the whole USA. Bad Street, nasty and hot. The further down the block, the worse it got. Bad Street, Atlanta. Too early? Too much? Too many times? Too many days in a row? Fuck it. No offense, man. I don't mean to cuss. I say it on every show. Kayfabe, man. Let's hop back into the time machine here at Chaos Corner. October 27th, 1980. Larry Latham and Bill Irwin defeat Tommy and Eddie Gilbert to win the AWA Southern Tag Team titles in Memphis, Tennessee. October 27th, 1984. And let me just say this, because you know I tell it like it is with all these dates here in history. To be born in the late 50s or 60s and be raised in the late 60s into the 70s, And then to celebrate in the 80s, man, there was no better time. And by the 90s, I'm already in my 30s. Let that marinate and sink in when it comes to history and knowledge and who I am as a podcaster or reality TV shows on my own channel. I want you to think about that. Over 50 years, coming up on 55 years as a scout, a historian, an agent, a fan, a smart. That's right, and a mark too. I said it, a mark, and I'm proud of that. And of course, my over 3 decades in this business as a pro wrestling manager, color commentator, manager that took the fucking bumps. That's right. I know I say it in a lot of these shows, but I want that to sink in when it comes to knowledge of what you're hearing here on this channel. No bullshit. One man, unique, unedited, unscripted, raw dog for you, the fans. I say it every time. What? Am I a little too amped, a little too pumped up? This is the motivation and passion you see from someone who tomorrow, this weekend, will be 60 fucking years old. I'm surprised and blessed and humble and grateful that I'm still here. 25 years behind the walls, bounty hunter, repo man, private security, private investigator, bouncer from coast to coast, pillar to post, border to border. Security for the Board of Education, anything and everything you can think of, and to still be here, I'm blessed. Let me get off the subject and get back on here to Chaos Corner on this date in pro wrestling history. Where was I? Let's go to October 27th, 1984. Chris Adams, Gino Hernandez, and Jake Roberts defeat Kerry Von Erich, Mike Von Erich, and Bobby Fulton for the Texas WCCW version of the NWA 6-man tag team titles in Dallas, Texas. None of this trios bullshit like we have here in 2023. It's a fucking 6-man tag match. Can we go with some history and nostalgia? That's the problem in today's world. It's just my opinion. Man, I'm allowed to voice my opinion, right? Back into the time machine. Let's stay in October 27th, 1984, wrestling fans. Bruiser Costa and Spider Webb defeat Ole Olsen and Randy Rich for the Vancouver version of the NWA Canadian Tag Team titles in Cloverdale, British Columbia, Canada. Say that 3 times fast. Fast forward, October 27th, 1986. Big Bubba, no, not Ray Traylor, Big Bubba Rogers, the boss man, big boss man. This Big Bubba was Tugboat, a.k.a. Typhoon. Fred Ottman defeats Tracy Smothers for the NWA Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight title in Memphis, Tennessee, ending Smothers' second reign. October 27th, 1987. Strikeforce, combined of Tito Santana, Arriba, and Rick Martel defeat Jim the Anvil Neidhart and Bret the Hitman Hart, better known as the Hart Foundation, for the WWF World Tag Team titles in Syracuse, New York. Now, Martel forced Neidhart to submit using a simple Boston Crab. I've been saying that over these last several days on false finishers, and everyone's got to get their stuff in, and everyone's got their spots, and there's no selling, and you get in there, there's no storytelling, no emotional investment. You do your stuff, I'll do my stuff, as long as we hit our spots and our maneuvers. And then all these unbelievable maneuvers, I'll give them credit here in 2023 with the talent and the athletes, that normally would take somebody's life or definitely pin someone, but it's maneuver after maneuver after maneuver, and the talent kicks out. Bigger, stronger, faster, my ass. Keep it simple, stupid. Less is more. A simple backbreaker, a simple abdominal stretch, a simple flying body press, a simple Boston Crab. That's how it's done. Sell it. Make it real. Don't make it like you're a modern day superhero from Marvel Comics. That's the fucking problem. October 27th, 1990, seeing that we are right around the corner, a few days away from Halloween, WCW Halloween Havoc at the UIC Pavilion in Chicago, Illinois. Here's the card. Tim Horner over Barry Horowitz. Rip Rogers over Reno Riggins. Tommy Rich and Ricky Morton defeat the Midnight Express of Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane. And as I said yesterday and the day before, who's your better version of the Midnight Express? We know it wasn't the new Midnight Express with Paul Heyman. That's bullshit. The Midnight Express of Bobby Eaton and Dennis Condrey, or the Midnight Express of Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane? Obviously both managed by Corny. Anyway, Tommy Rich and Ricky Morton defeat Eaton and Lane. And here's the caveat. Tommy Rich pinned Lane after using Cornette's infamous tennis racket, while Tracy Smothers and Steve Armstrong were distracted by the referee and Cornette. This would be the last Midnight Express match in WCW here in 1990, October 27th, for WCW Halloween Havoc. Very pertinent information to know when it comes to nostalgia and history. And we know nostalgia just ain't what it used to be. Considering that a nickel isn't worth a dime anymore. I think I said that right. Terry Taylor on that same card defeats Bill Irwin. Brad Armstrong goes over on J.W. Storm. The Master Blasters defeat Tracy Smothers and Steve Armstrong. Here's another question for you fans out there in the IWC. The Fabulous Freebirds of Michael Hayes and Jimmy Jam Garvin defeat Chris and Mark Youngblood. Now, you know I'm a Freebirds fan. Let's put this out there for you guys to answer. Out of all the combinations of the Fabulous Freebirds, we know it was originally Terry Bam Bam Gordy and Michael Hayes. They met as teenagers. They made a lot of money. They traveled all over the place. Then add Buddy Jack Roberts for stability. So now that's 3 Freebirds. And they were, of course, 6-man tag team champions. And then bring in the later years Jimmy Jam Garvin. So there's 4 Fabulous Freebirds. I'm not going to count the Black Freebird there from WCCW when he was a part of the Freebirds. That was a total clusterfuck of a storyline. Let's go with the originals. Who's your best 2? Leave a comment, send me an email, inbox me. Michael Hayes and Terry Gordy? Terry Gordy and Buddy Jack? Michael and Buddy Jack? Terry Gordy and Jimmy Jam? Michael Hayes and Jimmy Jam Garvin? You tell me who you think the best version of the Freebirds were. For me, although I loved Buddy Jack Roberts when he became a part, especially the 6-man tag titles, Jimmy Jam was okay as well. It's got to be Hayes and Gordy. No? Anyone? Leave a comment, fans. That's my decision. Let's get back to 1990 WCW Halloween Havoc, October 27th. The U.S. champions, the tag team champions, Rick and Scott Steiner, pin the Nasty Boys. The Junkyard Dog goes over on Moondog Rex via the Power Slam. A simple Power Slam for the pin. Do you get what I'm talking about? Do you get my point of what I talk about here when it comes to the past and the present and how to win a match? Keeping it simple, making it believable. A big, huge move. It should only take 1 or 2 to take out any normal man, any athlete, any superstar, any talent. That's my whole point. If you understand what I'm talking about, and if you're a fan of this channel, then I know you're the best of the smarks. No offense, man. No offense. I called myself a mark. Let's stay on WCW Halloween Havoc. The NWA World Tag Team Champions, Doom, consisting of Ron Simmons and Butch Reed, and Ric Flair and Arn Anderson, 2 of the 4 Horsemen, ends in a double countout. How about that for Halloween Havoc 1990? Let's continue here. You know I have a ton of notes. You have to do your due diligence and be prepared. Or what the fuck are you doing having your own channel? Trying to present a show. Let's continue with October 27th, 1990, Halloween Havoc from the UIC Pavilion in Chicago, Illinois. Stan Hansen defeats Lex Luger to win the United States title. Here's the caveat. Danny Spivey came to ringside to toss a bull rope to Hansen, but Luger blocked it. In the meantime, Luger missed the big clothesline on Hansen, and Hansen hit Luger with that unbelievable fucking lariat that he has, that broke Bruno Sammartino's neck back in the day, if you remember correctly, for the clean pin on that one. From a simple clothesline. Again, to my point of what I've been talking about finishes when it comes to professional wrestling. NWA World Champion at that time, October 27th, 1990, on the same card, Sting defeats Sid Vicious. During the bout, Sting and Vicious fought to the back. And when they returned to the ring, Sting went for a slam, and Sid fell on top of him for the pin. However, the real Sting, you had me, and I had you, didn't you? The real Sting ran from the locker room with a piece of rope around his waist as if he was tied up, and pinned Sid with a simple Stinger splash. Again, to my point, and I'll keep repeating it on this show here on October 27th, this day in history. Here's what you guys are missing. During the brawl backstage with Stinger and Vicious, the Four Horsemen came out of nowhere and pummeled Sting, tied him up, and sent out a false Sting dressed as the real Sting to the ring so Sid could make the pin. Who was that fake Sting here on Halloween Havoc, October 27th, 1990? Anyone? This never gets old. I say it all the time. Bueller? Anyone? The fake Sting on Halloween Havoc 1990 was none other than Four Horsemen member Barry Windham. How about that for trivia? Do you get this on any other channels? I don't think that you do. First off, who the hell's covering the history? I am. So that's what happened there. Sting defeats Sid Vicious. They tried the old do-si-do there, the Four Horsemen, to no avail. Great storyline, though. October 27th, 1991. Let's stay with WCW Halloween Havoc in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Here's the results, fans. El Gigante. No me jodo, maricón, muévete, culo, pendejo. Wait. No offense, man. It's a work, a kayfabe. El Gigante, Sting, and the Steiners defeat Abdullah the Butcher, the Diamond Stud. You guys got to know who the Diamond Stud was. McFly? The Diamond Stud was Razor Ramon, a.k.a. Scott Hall. How about that? And Cactus Jack and Big Van Vader. So again, El Gigante, Sting, and the Steiners defeat Abdullah the Butcher, the Diamond Stud, Cactus Jack, and Big Van Vader in a Chamber of Horrors cage match that used an electric chair. How about that for an insane match? Electrified, if you will, so to speak. On that same card, beautiful Bobby Eaton pins Terry Taylor with the Alabama Jam, which is a leg drop from the top rope. Should be enough to finish anyone off. As I say in every show here in history compared to 2023, and I'll keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it to make my point, to prove the point to you, the fans, especially you fans that are 40 years old and under, 35 and under especially. Just calling it like I see it for the demographics here on the channel. Johnny B. Bad defeats Jimmy Garvin via the knockout. And now what? Whether it's Roman Reigns or Orange Cassidy, they got to hit you with 15 different Superman punches before it's over. Not believable. Doesn't sell and doesn't work for me. As the OG. The old man Brad. The over 50 demo god. WCW TV champion Stunning Steve Austin versus Dustin Rhodes ends in a 15-minute draw. World Strongman Bill Kazmaier defeated Oz via submission, via the backbreaker, in 3 minutes. A simple, I know Kazmaier is one of the strongest men in the world, legit badass, not much of a grappler in his times, but he beats Oz, who's a 7-footer, with a simple backbreaker in 3 minutes. Again, I'll keep saying it and repeating it to my point. Now, I know most of you fans know who Oz was during this era in 1991 for WCW. I'll give you a second to think about it. Who was Oz in WCW at this time? I love doing this to you, the fans, because I know that you're watching, and you know that I know that you're watching. Oz was a.k.a. Diesel, a.k.a. Big Daddy Cool, Kevin Nash, losing to Bill Kazmaier in 3 minutes to a backbreaker. Let that sink in. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Nectars of the God, a little agua beige. Stay hydrated, everyone. I'd like to be able to, I put the pinky up, as you saw there. I'd like to be able to straighten out my fingers, but due to all my years and all the different jobs that I've had, as you can see, my fingers don't really straighten out anymore. That comes with the business. That's the legitimacy of the business here on Chaos Corner with the guardian of chaos, Big Daddy. And I'll say that to say this because I tell it like it is. Let's stay in October 27th, 1991, as I go to the valued notebook. Van Hammer defeats Doug Summers with a slingshot suplex. Say that 3 times fast. Slingshot suplex, slingshot suplex, slingshot suplex in 2 minutes. Now, Doug Summers was no joke. Former tag team champion, one heck of a grappler, maybe underrated. Van Hammer was a large guy, but certainly not the greatest grappler in the world. He defeats Doug Summers with a simple slingshot suplex in 2 minutes. Again, I keep fucking saying it and repeating it to my point of today's business and what the problems are. That's just my point. Look at the ratings, which I don't really care about. I watch the product. Look at the live events. Look at the matches, the storytelling, the emotional investment, the ring psychology of today compared to history. I say it all the time. It's okay to look forward. That's why it's called a windshield. And it's why they have a rear view mirror that's smaller, because you look back and you respect and honor those who paved the way in the history before you, because without them you wouldn't be where you are today or where you want to go to step on that gas pedal full speed ahead. So understand what I'm talking about when I say this. The loose cannon, Brian Pillman, defeats Richard Morton to win a tournament to become the first WCW light heavyweight champion with a simple flying body press. I don't have to keep saying it, right? You guys finally getting it now, 28 minutes here? The World Championship Wrestling WCW Tag Team Champions Arn Anderson and Larry Zbyszko defeat Todd Champion and Firebreaker Chip. Now, Anderson uses a simple spine buster, which could rattle you from head to toe, shake you right out of your vertebrae, to pin Chip, Firebreaker Chip, a spine breaker. One move, boom, boom. Now, no one delivers it like Arn Anderson. It'll knock the breath and rattle your bones, as I said, on any pro athlete. Simplicity. Do I have to continue with this? WCW World Champion Lex Luger defeats Ron Simmons in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the championship. Simmons won the first fall via a spine buster. Simmons was disqualified in the second fall to give Luger the win. So now it's 1-1 going into the third fall. Simmons was disqualified, which they don't use, to my knowledge, in a lot of these big leagues today, by being tossed over the top rope, which is, in history, a natural disqualification. Not in 2023, though, right? You guys are missing the boat on staying with history and tradition and what really worked, and jammed the arenas and fans and made money, put asses in seats. That's how you make money. The third fall saw Luger pin Simmons with a pile driver. Now, a pile driver is a devastating maneuver. Whether it's the tombstone by The Undertaker or the pile driver, the unbelievable pile driver by Jerry the King Lawler, and there's many more. Nowadays, it's 2, 3, 4, 5 pile drivers before you pin someone. And they still get up. Luger pins an unbelievable, one of the best athletes to ever step inside the ring, Ron Simmons, with the pile driver to retain the WCW World Championship in the best 2 out of 3 falls. I want you guys and fans to continue to think about what I'm presenting here on the channel. 1992, October 27th, Shawn Michaels defeats Davey Boy Smith for the WWF Intercontinental title in Terre Haute, Indiana. Why is this important? Because this would be the first major singles title that Shawn Michaels would capture in the WWE WWF. October 27th, 1992, as he defeats Davey Boy Smith for the Intercontinental title. Talk about your history. October 27th, 1996, we'll go back to WCW and Halloween Havoc at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. We'll keep with the theme here in Halloween. Jim Powers goes over on Pat Tanaka. Psychosis and Juventud Guerrera defeat Damien and Halloween. Dean Malenko defeats Rey Mysterio Jr. to win the WCW Cruiserweight title. Diamond Dallas Page, bang, DDP, defeats Eddie Guerrero with the Diamond Cutter to keep the Lord of the Ring. 1996, WCW. We know Tony Khan is like a little boy and a fan when it comes to booking. Hey, no offense against Khan. He's doing a decent job. Lord of the Ring, Diamond Dallas Page. The Triple B, MJF, current AEW. The battle for the ring. They call it the Dynamite Diamond Ring. Wonder where they got that idea from, TK. How about that? On that same card, the Giant, a.k.a. Paul Wright, the Big Show, defeats Jeff Jarrett via disqualification when Ric Flair ran in and hit the Giant with a low blow. In the cojones, that's my nutcracker. How about that? Let's continue in October 27th, 1996, WCW Halloween Havoc. Here's the results. 6, a.k.a. X-Pac, a.k.a. the Lightning Kid, the 1-2-3 Kid, defeats Chris Jericho with a leg lariat. Again, to my point, I won't keep repeating it. Heel ref at that time, Nick Patrick, gives the fast count for 6 to go over on Chris Jericho. Lex Luger submits Arn Anderson via the torture rack. Steve Mongo McMichael, let's pray for Mongo, he's in bad health right now, and the late great scumbag Chris Benoit defeat the Faces of Fear as Benoit pins Ming after McMichael hit Ming, a.k.a. Haku, with a briefcase. Nash and Hall defeat Harlem Heat to win the WCW Tag Team titles. Nash used Colonel Parker's cane to hit Stevie Ray for the pin. There you have it. Nash and Hall over Harlem Heat for the tag team titles. The WCW World Champion at that point, here in 1996, October 27th, Hulk Hogan defeats the Macho Man Randy Savage. Talk about circling around the globe. From the rock and wrestling days and the WWF days of Hogan and Savage, the mega powers, the superpowers, whatever the fuck it was. Now here, years later, in WCW, battling for this heavyweight title. And this was after Ted DiBiase and the Giant stomped Savage on the floor outside of the ring in order for Hogan to win. After the match, making his WCW debut in 1996, I'll give you a minute, Rowdy Roddy Piper, who comes out and confronts Hogan. So look at all the former WWF stars here in 96. Hogan, DiBiase, Savage, Piper, the list goes on and on. of what WCW really was, leading into the Monday Night Wars and how the talent went back and forth. Really was a good time. I was in my 30s at that point, in the business myself, performing as talent. But what a time to be a fan and in the business. Fast forward here in the time machine, October 27th, the year 2000. Akua and Kaimana, let me get that right, Akua and Kaimana are awarded the newly revived NWA Hawaii Tag Team titles in Kalihi, Hawaii. October 27, 2001. 2001, if you will. Apollo defeats Glamour Boy Shane for the IWA title in Bayamon, Puerto Rico. October 27th, 2002. The Great Muta defeats Junichiro Tenryu for the AJPW All Japan Pro Wrestling Triple Crown in Tokyo. This was Muta's second reign with the All Japan Pro Wrestling title. The Triple Crown title. Fast forward in the time machine. Come on with me, fans. Stay with me. October 27th, 2004. 2004, potato, tomato, whatever the fuck you want to say. And I apologize for it seems to be the incessant cussing lately. But I do apologize for that. Fergal DeWitt defeats Drew Onyx to win the NWA British Commonwealth Heavyweight title in Cardiff, Wales, England. October 27th, 2007. AWA legend and WWE Hall of Famer Vern Gagne is inducted into the Museum of Broadcasting Hall of Fame in Minnesota. October 27th, 2008, if you will. Ring of Honor releases Gabe Sapolsky, and if you know that name, Gabe Sapolsky, legendary Ring of Honor, Evolve, current scout, talent, agent for the WWE, who just this past summer in 2023 held an unbelievable seminar and tryouts at Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling. That's right, Gabe Sapolsky came down to Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling to hold tryouts and to scout the talent of PAPW, perhaps for extra roles or future endeavors in World Wrestling Entertainment. Now, he's appointed by Triple H to be that scout. Gabe, very influential in his career, as I said, from Ring of Honor to Evolve to the WWE. And he's still doing seminars all over the country right now. Let that sink in with Gabe Sapolsky. Here in 2008, on this date in history, Gabe was released as Booker and replaced by Adam Pearce, of all people. And of course, fans, don't forget the history of Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling and Evolve with Gabe Sapolsky. As we had Evolve 95, it's out on YouTube, Evolve 95, with the likes of Matt Riddle, Keith Lee, Zack Sabre Jr., Darby Allin, and Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling stars Richard Holiday, Showtime Marcel Williams, RJ Rude, and the list goes on and on. It's on YouTube through the WWN network. Evolve 95, the super show that was on iPay-per-view with Evolve and Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling. Unbelievable event that night with all those stars who have gone on to be unbelievable in today's pro wrestling scene, especially locally owned, locally grown, locally trained, to use expressions. The most marketable man in pro wrestling right now, Richard Holiday, the very first student at PAPW, Roma trained, Mancini brained. Let that sink in. All right, fans, let's continue and stay right here in 2008, October 27th, on this date in history. Conrad Ephraim, anyone? AKA Special Delivery SD Jones, passes away in his native Antigua after suffering a stroke. SD was only 63 years old at that time in 2008. Rest in peace, SD. One hell of a hand. One heck of a worker. October 27th, 2009. A major announcement held at Madison Square Garden by Hulk Hogan and TNA shocked the wrestling world It certainly did. It was billed as a book signing for Hogan's second autobiography. The day before, October 26th, 2009, he was at a Barnes & Noble signing the book. But he showed up the next day, today, October 27th, 2009, for a press conference at Madison Square Garden with Eric Bischoff, Dixie Carter, to announce he has become a partner and is going over to TNA. Is that something? Really was unbelievable. He swerved everyone. And Dixie Carter stated that Hogan would be a boost to TNA, a much needed boost at that point, to spike the ratings because they were on Spike TV. Bischoff was there to introduce Hogan. Think about that. Hogan constantly swerving people. Even to this day, I don't know if you want to call it swerving or telling a fib or spinning a yarn or two or an outright fucking liar. I'll let you decide. I'm not here to judge anybody. Who am I? I'd have to look in the mirror. Staying in 2009 on October 27th, this date in history, Hogan appears on CNN's Larry King Live to talk about what just happened at Madison Square Garden and his apparent partnership with TNA. Fast forward, October 27th, 2010. The WWE makes the decision to resurrect the King of the Ring tournament into a 3-hour edition on Monday Night Raw. This date in history, October 27th, 2010. Let me fast forward to just a couple of years ago before I get to my closing statement. And if you were around for yesterday's show and hung out for the whole hour, you'll see my closing statement, and this is the response from yesterday's show. So hold on 1 minute. Don't go anywhere yet. Fast forward to October 27th, 2021. Ring of Honor COO Joe Koff, via Zoom call with Ring of Honor talents and Ring of Honor staff, informed them that the Sinclair Broadcasting Group, which was the owner, the parent owner of Ring of Honor, was shutting down the promotion following the 2021 Final Battle pay-per-view. Let that, with all talent and all contracts ending at the end of 2021 or the spring of 2022, depending on when your contract expired for the talent. Only to think they were going to resume in April of 2022. That's what he stated, that operations would begin back in April 2022. Who knew that before that was going to take place, that TK, Tony Khan, would purchase the assets of the promotion? And now we know here in 2023 that Ring of Honor is AEW. All you got to do is watch the product. Half the time, whether it be on Dynamite or Collision, especially Dynamite, you have Ring of Honor talent and stars and championships on an AEW show. So they are one and the same, no matter what any of you say. That was on October 27th, 2021. Talk about a swerve. TK swooped in and saved the day from Sinclair Broadcasting, which really put nothing into Ring of Honor, which was a solid group at one time, if you wanted pure wrestling. And fans, we're going to close it off here today on October 27th, this date in pro wrestling history, with my final closing statement yesterday in regards to the lawsuit brought by the WWE and Vince McMahon against the Secretary of the State of Connecticut in the shadows of Titan Towers here in the greater New England tri-state Northeast area for discrimination, so on and so forth, by Susan Bysowitz. And I gave you the quote in the letter yesterday from Vince McMahon about our violation of our constitutional rights, discrimination, and so on and so forth. Here was Susan for clothing and what you were wearing to the polls, and in regards to Linda McMahon running for Senate. You guys know the backstory. And here's the response as we close here on Chaos Corner today. Susan Bysowitz responds to the discrimination lawsuit that Vince filed yesterday on this date in history, 2010. She had asserted that while the WWE clothing doesn't bear Senate candidate Linda McMahon's name, the implication of it is there, since she is so closely identified with the WWE, Bicewicz said her intentions had been misconstrued. Isn't that what all politicians say? Especially in these blue states, and you see the bullshit that's still going on here years and years later. No matter what you wear, and I'll bring up whether it's Biden, Trump, whatever people you want to vote for, Republican, a Democrat, it doesn't really matter to me. The bullshit and what they're trying to pull here in the United States and around the world. And again, I'm not going to get into all that because I'm here for some stress relief and a much needed distraction for all of us. Bicewicz said her intentions had been misconstrued and sent this letter to the registrars and town clerks around the state. I want you to think about that. I quote, like I quoted Vince yesterday, I'll quote Susan Bicewicz, who's still somewhere in power in the state of Connecticut. Be advised that it is the position of this office, again, Secretary of the State of Connecticut, that simply wearing WWE apparel at the polls, including apparel with the trade name or logo of the WWE, that does not display the name or photo of Linda McMahon, United States Senate candidate at the time, or the name or logo of Ms. McMahon's campaign, does not trigger a violation. Trigger? A lot of that going on today in 2023, especially in the blue states. I'm just saying. I'm just telling it like I see it. I don't give a shit about either party, to be quite honest with you. They're all fraudulent and corrupt. Just my opinion. Okay, further, even when an individual is found to be wearing campaign material in violation of the 75-foot restrictions, again, think this in and what they're doing to our constitutional rights. They should never be told to leave the polls. They should simply be asked to remove or cover the item, which is bullshit in itself and a violation of your constitutional rights. It's just that simple. Do your research. Do it on the Constitution. They should simply be asked to remove or cover the item or apparel in question. Now, I've gone through this personally over nonsense. Once this is done, the individual should be allowed to vote. What a bunch of horseshit that is. And you see the politics of this country, even with pro wrestling and life. And don't think they're not coming for you, because they are, one way or another. That's just the reality of it. And I'll end off on a positive note here, because she recovered. October 27th, 2012, a lady that I had a chance to hang out with and meet and have a few cocktails with all the boys and girls at WWE back at Kowloon, the infamous restaurant, or famous restaurant, Kowloon, up there in Boston, in Beantown, in Saugus, of all places. We even took a limo ride back from Boston to Connecticut into New York. Lillian Garcia fell asleep. I even think she snores. No offense, Lillian. You were a great person and very respectful to me. On October 27, 2012, WWE announcer Lillian Garcia was hospitalized after being struck by a car in Los Angeles. The good news, Lillian fully recovered. Thank the good Lord for that, Lillian Garcia. So fans, that's what we have to wrap up here on October 27th. On this date in history, I can't thank you guys for being here enough. I say it every program, every show. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, hit that thumbs up. I will get back to you. And I'm not sure about tomorrow. I've been here every day. Tomorrow I will be the big 6-0. I have a lot of plans with family and friends. But I may pop up with a quick this date in history, or maybe sing happy birthday to myself. Who knew? I'm truly blessed, fortunate, humbled, grateful for all of you, and to still be here on planet Earth. Thanks for tuning in. And that's a shoot. I'll say that to say this, because I tell it like it is. Don't you dare miss it.